Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another video for coverage of patch 6.1. Specifically today we're looking at all the new Susano crafted weapons, simply because there really isn't a better place to actually get an actual pan of these things with people who have actually made them in the game. There's lots of pictures on the internet, but they're in the wrong daylight conditions. I thought, let's just go and actually craft these things and, actually show them off. So here we are in the game. I'm currently on my blacksmith, but as you can see, if we make this window much bigger here, you will see that you can craft the Susano weapons with specialist recipes. So specifically, we've got the woodworking here for the pike, the great bow, and the cane. We have obviously smithing for a war axe, great sword, knuckles, and etc. They share a lot of the same materials basically. So the woodworking stuff requires Toria lumber and chroma ingots, molybdenum, and obviously the key item is the Blade of Ravelry, which you can get from the extreme version of Susano himself. And there really isn't much difference. There is occasionally a difference here, like rhodonite, for example, and true griffin leather. We have palladium nuggets and true griffin leather, palladium ingots and molybdenum ingots. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same sort of materials. They are specialists, so as you can see, I was smithing woodworking specialist. If I wanted to make the others, obviously I've got to switch over our specialization, which is Soul of a Crafter, at Foundation in Ishgard. But you can also see that it's pretty much the same materials, even for the goldsmithing and the alchemy stuff. So those are basically the materials. The craftsmanship required is non-existent. The recommended is 1320. Honestly, these things are so easy to craft. You can basically do a rendition of muscle memory if you just want to get them done instantly, because obviously, I'm level 80 at the minute and I'm able to do them at level 90, easy peasy. Or of course you would do something to increase the quality first and then work up that, but just do a quick muscle memory and they're done. Very easy to create. So as you can see, there are actually 16 items in a game you can craft, and I've crafted pretty much all of them, apart from a couple that I couldn't be bothered to switch the specialization of, so I bought those from a market board. But pretty much everything else where possible I have crafted here using materials, as you can see. And I plan to make some more for friends if they want them, which is why we've got some more Blades of Ravelry. Without further ado, now the crafting section of this is out of the way, let's actually go to the showcase section where I show you every single one of these, sheathed and unsheathed. And yeah, let's do that. All right, here we are in the ever sunny world of Doan Meg through Explorer mode. Specifically, I thought Explorer mode would be a great idea because it's pretty much, always going to be daytime in here, and also we can switch jobs. So there is that, much easier. So let's look at Warrior first, since we're on here, and we'll have a look at this. So this is obviously the Great Axe from Susano, and the back of the axe, as you can see, this is the familiar sort of design. It does look very, very, very pretty. These, of course, are not dyeable, which is one of the side, unfortunately, effects of this. But as you can see, when we unsheath this bad boy, the lightning and water effects come through. So obviously for Susano, they decided to go for lightning and water because that's basically the principle of the boss. I do like the look of this one specifically. I do like the effect. It would have been nice if the water and lightning affected all of the weapon. You'll find that throughout looking at a lot of these weapons that I'm going to resort to complaining that the lightning doesn't go down the entire weapon and it's only like a small section. But this is really, really awesome, isn't it? It really is quite pretty. But yes, let's move on to the next one. We'll go through our tanks first. That might be a good plan. So next up, let's have a look at Paladin. Okay, Paladin looking fairly unassuming, honestly, on the back. This was never my favorite shield, but it has a bit of Susano on it, obviously, with the red there. The sword itself is probably the most impressive part of this. But unsheathed, obviously this is what the shield looks like, so if you're interested in maybe picking up a new shield, you could do a lot worse than that. It's quite nice. It's a decent sized medium shield. And the sword, though, the sword is probably going to be the thing that most paladins are attracted to. It does look really nice, doesn't it? That is really nice. And one of the things I will say is it looks like the lightning is actually flowing the entire length of the blade as opposed to a lot of the other weapons. It does look really cool. I'm really happy with this, and it does make me want to create a lightning and water based glamour to go with this specifically. But yeah, that is really cool. I think the shield text, you know, it's not the best shield in the world, but it is very nice, and you're going to be hard pressed to match a shield with that. Although the likelihood is that if I make a glamour with this sword, I'll probably just use the Garo shield that's invisible, because I think that would be a pretty awesome look. Let's move on to the next tank. Alright, so for Dark Knight, this is what the blade looks like. This is probably one of the coolest looking Dark Knight blades in the game, or at least most different looking. Usually they're two-handed greatswords. Obviously from the Susano fight, Susano has this massive sword that you might remember. It's pretty much a small version of that. I do like the runes down the blade itself, and the hilt is awesome. And unsheathed, it looks like this, which is pretty badass. It's a shame that, you know, only the blade is sort of, you know, enchanted with those blues and the bubbles, but I suppose, you know, that's what you want, a flowing blade. It looks pretty good in my personal opinion. I don't have a problem with this one. I will say that it is one of the most unique weapons I've seen, one of the thinnest Dark Knight weapons for sure. I do like the slight red sort of glow on the actual hilt as well. You see this, how the darkness is, you know, it's got this red glow that sort of permeates through it, like flowing through it. So I suppose it does have its own unique effects there, which are really cool, kind of like blood red flowing through the hilt from the user, and then you've got the enchanted blade basically. Very nice, very nice. Definitely not the weakest of Susano weapons for certain. Let's move on now then. Alright, healers then. Let's start with Astrologian, because a lot of people will be interested. This is quite a nice looking design. It's got that sort of blue and sort of brass thing going on with it, and then that kind of copper, which is nice. It's got a red sort of tail, sort of, you know, hair part to it as well, and the card thingy matches the same colors as well. Not too bad. Unsheathed, it looks like this. So you have obviously the center, which has got flowing water in there and bubbles as it spins around with the two things around the Astro globe, and then you've got the water effect and lightning, but mostly lightning on the outside. So it's mostly water inside and lightning on the outside. This thing does look really quite good, actually. You know, if you saw somebody walking around with this, it would turn a few heads. It might not be the most thrilling looking astrolabe that we've seen in the game, but it is one of the nicest. And if you do like the idea of lightning, there are very few alternatives that look good for Astrologian because of when it was added to the game. So obviously we don't have stuff like, you know, Ramu weapons and things like that. So yeah, not too bad, honestly. It's, you know, it could be a lot worse. Yeah, they're not bad quality, are they? They're pretty good quality. The only thing I will say is I would love to see more Astrologian cards that are colored differently, much like the PvP ones. You know, I love the fact that the Wolf's Den stuff, like the Hellhound Astroglobe is like red cards, but I suppose we can't, you know, have that all the time. Anyway, let's move on to another healer. Right, so Scholar, nice and simple. A lot of people will wonder what the books look like. I have said in the past that I think a lot of the books really could do with some love. This one is kind of the same, in my opinion. It's not the best looking book, but I don't know, the outside of the book is probably the nicest part of it. I don't know. I'm really going to be quite fussy with books, especially with the quality of some that have been added, especially like the Ultimate book. My goodness, that new Ultimate book looks incredible from the new Dragon Song War. But I suppose this is nice. You've got the sort of, you know, the writing inside, like the Eastern writing, and then you've got the water and lightning running across the outside. It's not the ugliest book I've seen. If you like silver and you like lightning and water, then you'll probably like this. I don't know. I still probably would prefer a few of the older books, honestly, that have been in the game much longer. Yeah, and it looks kind of... Yeah, okay, let's just move on. I don't have many opinions for that one, personally. Okay, White Mage. Obviously, this is what the staff looks like, which is quite a bulky one with the red at the top there. sort of like pitted sort of leather black coloration with red sections across the pole itself. It's never been my favorite weapon, but maybe this will reform that opinion. No, I don't think it will. So this is what the top of the actual stave itself looks like. Yeah, it would be nice if the lightning stretched throughout the entire stave, and if or a water effect or a glow effect like a lot of the other weapons have. I'm not necessarily a massive fan of this one personally, but you might disagree. It's yeah, it's fairly lackluster. One of the weaker ones, I personally think. Yeah, although it could go with some outfits, obviously with the coloration of it, it's not my cup of tea personally. And yeah, I don't know. I like the effects, I just don't like the stave. So you might love it. You might absolutely love this, which is the whole purpose of this video, so that you can determine if you want to go and grab these. Okay, ranged casters, specifically Summoner first. So this is pretty much identical to the other book in nearly every way. I don't massively see any differences. Maybe a trained eye sees some, but you've got pretty much the same or similar writing inside the book. I mean, it is slightly different, I guess, but the rest of the book is pretty much the same. It's not my cup of tea. There are like infinitely way better summoner books in the game, be it relics or other crafted. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this one, but I can imagine the color scheme though probably working a lot better. I mean, you're seeing some matching with the gear I'm wearing now, actually, but yeah, it's not my cup of tea personally. But yeah, honestly, there's a lot of books in the game that I don't like, so maybe that's just my personal bias coming through. And maybe you love this, maybe you love that idea, but yeah, there's so much more they could have done with these. But the original models, obviously, you know, you're not going to change those. But the glow itself is nice. I mean, it does obviously, a lot of these weapons look a lot better with the glows on them when than they did originally without the glows. So that's really where we should come from this. Okay, Red Mage, nice and simple. I do like the original design of this rapier, actually. Very, very thin. Just stick sort of, it kind of reminds me of a stinger on a bee or something. Look at that, how thin that section is there. Unsheathed then, we do have obviously a nice solid lightning based tip, and obviously the hilt is not touched. But the best thing about this is the floating doodad here that I never remember the name of, that people always chastise me for. But the focus crystal or whatever it's called looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? I do like that design. That's really nice. Really nice. And it just looks like a big ball of water and lightning death, doesn't it? It is one of the nicer looking weapons in my personal opinion. The way that it flows down the blade. I think blades work a lot better with this sort of design than others. And instead of having a red, slow sort of flowing glow like the Dark Knight weapon, the Red Mage weapon has a blue flowing glow, like the water effect coming across the guard there quite nicely. Yeah, this is really, really nice. I really like this weapon personally. I don't know, maybe you prefer the books and stuff, but I think that they've done a really good job with how they applied the glow to this weapon. That's what we have to remember. It's not about changing the design of the weapon, because obviously that's already set in stone from when the content came out, but the glow really does make this weapon look 10 times better. It's beautiful. Yeah, reminds me of Mongoose enchantment from World of Warcraft, actually. I think that's probably why I like it so much. Alright, let's look at Black Mage then. So if you need a refresher, that's what the original rod looked like, which is, it's quite pretty in its own way. It's like very simple and elegant. So it was never like the most enthralling, crazy looking stave in the game. And I think for that reason, a lot of people probably didn't use it or like it as much, because it was kind of like quite meh in comparison, or at least in terms of like wowing the onlooker. However, has the enchantment and crafted version actually made this look any better? Not especially. I think that the caster weapons and the healer stuff is probably the weakest side of this, which is always usually the case with these kind of crafted weapons, although we've had some really good options in the past. I don't know. I just would have liked the lightning to go through the entire weapon, or more of the weapon, or maybe the tip over here as well. But I'm sure there's lots of people who will like this. But I don't know. Like, if you were going to go for a lightning weapon for a black mage, I would say that I would prefer personally the Ramu weapon. And it's a lot cheaper, obviously, to make. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you really like this one, which is the whole reason we're showing it off. I do like how far-reaching the lightning is from the tip of that, actually. It seems to extend much further than a lot of the other weapons. Like the crackles of lightning, look, they're stretching out way beyond the tip of that. Like, power unlimited, you know. Looks really good, honestly, the spell effect. The staff, not my cup of tea, personally. Okay, Fizz range then. Let's have a look at the bow first for Bard. Looking pretty good, I personally think. The original design always had very nice looking, a nice quiver of arrows. I do like the way those arrows look. It's quite nice. Bows are hard to do wrong, honestly, in this game. There are some bad ones, admittedly, but they look pretty good. I like that drawstring as well. Look how thick that is, the bronze sort of metallic one. Very nice, like a great bow that you would fire big ballista bolts with. Let's unsheath this then. Honestly, that doesn't look too bad. I do like the fact that there's a flow of lightning and water throughout the entire thing, especially this top part here with the sort of like, what do you call that, a sigil mark, the red. It kind of covers over some of the fact that the design's a little bit pixelated in places. Yeah, honestly, it's not a bad looking bow, is it? It's really not. I like the fact that the glow and lightning covers pretty much everything that you would like. It would be nice if they could make it so that the arrows also, once loaded, also had a glow. So you had like a lightning imbued arrow, but I suppose that would be a lot of extra work. Yeah, it's quite a nice looking weapon, personally. It's not one of the weaker ones. I think they've done a good job here, and the spell effects obviously add a lot more to it than previously did. So that's really nice, isn't it? Really nice. You might disagree, but yeah, that's the first of physical ranged. Let's have a look at Machinist next. Alrighty then, so for Machinist, the first thing, as I always mention, and I really don't like this, is the ether pack. I think this thing should have a toggle so we could remove it from the game. That's my personal opinion. I don't like them. The weapon itself, though, however, doesn't look too bad. I've always liked the design of this. It kind of reminded me sort of weirdly of Batman or something. I don't know. A gun with like all these spikes on it and things. It's not a bad looking gun. It's really not. So what have they done with the enchantment on this with the crafted version? That looks different, I suppose. I like the way that the miniature bayonet is glowing there towards the front. That's nice. It's not a bad looking weapon, is it? They could have done a lot worse with this one. But again, not my personal choice. If I was going to go for any kind of weapon for a Machinist in the game, if I had any choice, I would go for the Heavensward Relic. It looks just 10 times better than everything else, but I like dragons. So, I don't know. I like this. It's alright, but it's not the most amazing looking weapon in the game. But yeah, maybe you have something glamour sorted up for lightning and water. This is a nice touch, or maybe some black, bronze, and some little hints of silver, some brass. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not the best weapon though, is it? Alrighty, what we've been waiting for. Don't mind me dressed as Chun-Li here. This is for Monk first then with our melee, and this is what the weapons look like unsheathed. They are just kind of like sat there on your hip, as they usually are with Monk, looking kind of normal, I guess. They're quite bulky, and then this is what they look like unsheathed. These fist weapons probably aren't my favorite in the game, but they're not terrible either. They do look quite menacing, and if you had, I don't know, a set of armor or something that covers a lot of skin, this would probably look a lot better. Yeah, I don't like the underside of weapons like this, to be fair. But yeah, they're not the worst looking monk weapons, but they're not the best either. I don't know. Maybe you disagree, maybe you really love these. They're quite flashy. I like the way they've enhanced them with the spell effects. Again, the lightning extends quite a bit off of them. So if you're looking for something to add like lightning fists, you know, for a certain cosplay or something, these look pretty good, honestly, from a distance. As you can see, you don't really see many of the details. There's not too much, you know, really sticking out from them. So, you know, they're quite muted colors, which is a really good thing, obviously, if you want to go for a certain thing like lightning fists or whatever. I don't know, whatever. You know, I quite like the idea of having lightning fists, actually. It goes quite well with this outfit, doesn't it, actually? Surprisingly. But yeah, they're not the worst monk weapons, but there are obviously a lot better ones out there. Alright, here we are on Ninja then, with the blades. Sorry, I've picked an outfit that kind of clips into them, but I don't think most people have probably seen the originals, so this is what they look like unsheathed, which personally I think these are absolutely gorgeous. From a distance, I love the glow on these. The lightning is just amazing for ninja. These are some of the nicest looking weapons from the set. Sorry, I mean, I don't play ninja, but I kind of wish I did now. Look at that. It's just like the most erratic lightning effect. I think it's because of the area size of the weapon being much smaller than the other weapons for obviously other jobs, and the fact that you've got two of them, so you've just got this like lightning running across the entire screen. Looks really good, and the water is flowing much quicker across the blades, like the entire thing, the hilt, the guard, you know, it's awesome. These are absolutely amazing. You know, if I saw somebody running around with these, I'd be like, dude, those look awesome, you know? And there's so many options you could do in terms of glamour to go with these. They look exceptional. Yeah, really, really pleased with these ones, personally. The original design wasn't too bad. They're a lot bigger than some of the knives that are in the game. They look like short swords. And yeah, they've done them justice massively with those spell effects there. How beautiful are those? Fantastic. Right then, Dragoon. Let's have a look at this weapon. Just to refresh what it looked like for me in memory. It's a fairly basic looking polearm with the gem at the top there, a bit of brass, the silver on the tip, and the blue. Yeah, it looks fairly basic. What does it look like actually unsheathed then? So what they've done here is they've decided that they aren't going to place any of the spell effects on the bottom of the polearm, which is a real shame in my opinion. I would have liked to see some like flowing water up the entire polearm itself, but the spell effect actually starts towards the tip itself, the actual weapon part at the top. Yeah, it's not bad looking. It could be a lot better though. I think most people will agree with that. It looks good from the front, but at the back you're like, wait, this is the crafted Susano weapon? Don't know. They could have done a lot more, making this like more of a lightning rod or something in terms of the spell effects. But yeah, it is a nice item, especially if you're after that, you know, lightning water aesthetic. This is the only option you really have in the game, and it's, you know, comparative to the Ramu weapon. It's a lot bulkier, and I do like the design with the, obviously the red of Susano's hair sort of flowing around there. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. So that leaves us onto our last entry. Samurai then left last, but obviously not least because of Susano and the Eastern influence here. I do like the hilt on this one with Susano's big braid of red hair running down there as a bit of design. The gold, silver, and obviously brass. And the hilt of the blade looks awesome. Unsheathed, it is exactly what you would imagine. The entire blade is lightning imbued and water imbued, and honestly I think it looks as impressive as the ninja weapon, obviously just one of these. Imagine if you could dual wield samurai swords, that would be kind of incredible. The hilt does not glow, however, comparatively to the ninja, but the guard does, sort of like this almost brass colored flow actually with the water, which is unique, like the metal is slowly melting into the blade. The lightning effect is fantastic that they've added to this one, extending quite nicely around it. It's just really nice, isn't it? Good spell effects all round. I think most people will agree it's a decent length katana, and obviously is one of the only options if you want to have a lightning imbued katana in the game, and it looks pretty amazing even when you're running around. Look at this. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Square Enix have done a fantastic job of adding the majority of these weapons, their respective glows. It's always worthwhile waiting for the the subsequent expansions. It's always exciting to see in the patch notes that such and such craftable weapons have been entered into the game. We've been waiting a very long time for Susano, so hopefully this sort of lived up to everybody's expectations. I think for the most part it did for me, although some are clearly better than others. My takeaway favorites are definitely Ninja from this, and probably Astrologian. I did like that one quite a lot. But yeah, let me know what you think about these. This was supposed to be just a quick short video on my opinions from this, not overly edited. But if people do want a more edited sort of like pan around thing, I'm sure we could look at that in the future. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let me know which one is your favorite. And of course, hopefully one day they add previous jobs that are in the game that have come out since from this content. That would be lovely to see some of those, but I can't imagine they'll do that for probably many years. Traditionally, they don't add stuff like reprints, Age, or new jobs to the old weapon designs, which is a shame, but I can understand why. Anyway, much love. More 6.1 content on the way. See you next time.